What's up, Michigan fans? Welcome back to the Maize and Bluebeard podcast, where we talk all things Michigan football and basketball and other sports because we love our Michigan Wolverines. I'm Chris. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. We got a big show. If you're watching this on YouTube, check it out right here. You can see what to expect in the video. If you're listening on the podcast, then let me tell you what you can expect in this video. We're going to talk all about the breaking news yesterday that Michigan football general manager Sean Magee is out of a job. He has been relieved of his duties along with a few other Michigan football front office staff members. We'll talk all about what this means, what's next, what they could do, what are the rumors. We'll talk all about it. We'll also talk about a huge recruiting decommit that came in last night. Is it related to Sean Magee's departure, or is it a coincidence? We'll talk all about that. We'll also recap Michigan basketball's huge win on the road at the Mackey at Purdue. What a win. We'll talk all about it and what is coming next for the Wolverines basketball team. And finally, stick around to the end of the video and I'll reveal the question of the day results from yesterday when I asked, how is Michigan basketball going to do this week with their game against Purdue and Duke? We'll see how many of you picked them at least to go 1-1 or 2-0. All that and more on this episode of the Maize and Bluebeard podcast. Let's go blue and let's get into it. Breaking news came in yesterday afternoon that Michigan football was moving on from Sean Magee, Michigan's general manager, who'd been there under Sharon Moore and had done some work also under Jim Harbaugh. So he'd been around the program for a while. It was announced that he was being relieved of his duties along with some other members of his staff. Director of On-Campus Recruiting, Kaylee Johnson, Will Johnson's sister. Director of Player Personnel, Albert Karshna. And Director of Recruiting, Sam Popper. But they are all moving on to other things. Kyle Whittingham, it was his decision. He's decided to make the move. Now, everyone kind of thought when Sean Magee and everybody was still there after Whittingham came in that they were going to stay, but apparently they were told that it was in a holding pattern. You know, we're going to get through transfer portal, player retention, all that stuff, and then we'll make a decision going forward for the future of the program. And the decision was made to move on. So a couple things here. We'll talk about what that means. What are the rumors? What are some options out there first? But before we get to that, you may have heard some Michigan insiders, some fans, some other people talk about some complaints with Sean Magee. Now, he did build some good recruiting classes. He did help get some good transfer portal people in here. And that's always hard to say, was it just because of him or he was in the position. It was his job, right? And he's at Michigan, which is a place that can pull people to come just because it's Michigan, and especially when they were having all that success. So was it really just him, or was he in the position and he did his job, and could someone have done just as good, if not better? That's what time will tell. But he was very well liked. Families liked him, players liked him. But the thing that sometimes Michigan insiders and reporters and some fans that were more in the know complained about a little bit with him was, as a former NFL guy, spent some time with the Bears and some other things in the NFL, he decided to attack the transfer portal and recruit signing and treat it as a salary cap like in the NFL. And he had a hard cutoff sometimes for contract negotiations. And sometimes that did price us out of getting certain players. Nobody knows for sure who or when or how or any of that stuff, but there are a lot, even this past transfer portal cycle in the linebacker room, there was some guys that they wanted to get that other teams got because they were willing to put up a little more money. And that's happened with some other positions in previous years under him. So that was a complaint about him, but he still, I think, did a solid job. I think he was a smart guy, a good number guy. But maybe he wasn't willing to swing for the fences sometimes, and up the ante when the ante got big. All of this, of course, with Sean Magee is rumor, hearsay, things that articles have written and all that stuff. Sean Magee himself, I've never seen anything where he came out and said, this is what I do. But when enough people talk about something, there's probably some level of truth to it. Now, there are also some reports out there talking about reasons why. I've seen a lot of things on message boards and a lot of stuff floating out there that on signing day, a lot of the contracts and the revenue and revenue sharing and things, all the stuff that you usually want to see at certain levels and certain amounts and set up a certain way was not where Michigan wanted to be, or not where it should have been, or not high enough. And maybe that was not very, and maybe that was a negative for this group of people, including Sean Magee. There's also been rumors that there was a lot of disorganization, organizational issues within the GM front office for the Michigan football team, and that Kyle Whittingham didn't like that. So maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe there's a lot of things going on. Maybe it's just as simple as Kyle Whittingham wants to get his own guy. Who knows? There's a lot of information out there, a lot of rumors out there. We may never know the whole true story, but as we get more information, I'll of course share it with you. So that'll be an interesting thing going forward to see what Michigan does next. And what could they do next? Well, there's kind of three directions we can talk about here. The first one is the most likely, and that would be that Robert Blecken, former Utah GM, who's very young, and I did a video on him when he first left Utah because they were bringing in someone else, and he was moving on along with some other people there in the front office, and I thought he might come to Michigan, and I would be excited about it. I get it. I've seen a lot in the comments. I did a short breaking it down and talking about, watch the video tomorrow. I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, please, not another Utah person," and I get that. And I've even seen some insiders say it's just gonna become Utah at Michigan, and I get that. But we got to take a step back and look at two things with this. One, let's look at Robert Blecken himself first. He was really good, and he's young. He's in his 30s, and he did a really good job there. He got them. Okay, so the highest recruiting class he ever got was number 29 in the country. And you think, well, that's not good. Well, this is Utah, a place that very rarely gets 4 and 5 stars. They got a lot of 3 stars, 2 stars, and maybe some 4 stars, and they would coach them up, which Whittingham and his staff are really good at. That number 29 recruiting class was by far the best they ever got in the football program's history. So he did what he could. He took some home run swings. They didn't have the resources to get it done and to get those players. They didn't have the name brand to get it. So to look at what he was able to do and be like, oh, well, that's not good enough for Michigan. Well, he wasn't at somewhere like Michigan. So he was an up and comer. He's young. He's talented. He's really good at talent. Like picking out talent and going after them. And I think at Michigan, he would get a lot more of the big talent because he's got the name brand, he's got the resources. And let's not forget, too, this is for next year. So if this upcoming football season goes really well, the transfer portal next year is going to be a lot easier to get people to come in and recruits going forward. So I think I would be excited about him, but I get it. People don't want Utah retreads and all that stuff. But the fans were very upset to see him go. They did not like that he was leaving. A lot of the reporters and news and everything out there, they really sung his praises. They loved what he was doing. They were impressed by what he was doing. And they really thought that he went after some big names and just didn't have the resources to get it done. And he would have that at Michigan. So I would be excited if they got him, but I get that people want somebody else. But the other side is, too, take a step back and think about Kyle Whittingham. If you're coming into a place like Michigan, this huge place with all these resources, do you want someone in charge of transfer portal, recruiting, all that stuff, NIL, who's going to blow back on you all the time? And if there's a guy you want to go get, no matter what, they're like, well, we can only go get him if he will take this much or less. Or do you want someone that's lockstep with you and you can be like, hey, what do we got to do to get it done? Let me crunch the numbers and see. Okay, here we go. We can do this. Do you want someone like that you trust, where you know what each other are thinking and you're on the same page and you're going after the same kind of player? Or do you want it to always be this back and forth struggle of power? And I mean, I'm not saying that's what it was, but based on how Magee did things, I feel like it probably would have been a little bit like that, and he was there before. So I don't fault Whittingham for making the move, and I don't fault him if he brings in his own guy. If it is the Utah guy, don't freak out. He was actually really good. And if I took his resume and what he did and I plastered it onto Wake Forest or I'm trying to think of some like lower Oregon State or somewhere like that, and had that success, you'd be like, oh, sweet, this is awesome. But because it's Utah, it's like, oh, another Utah guy. So I'm just saying, if it happens, it would be a good thing. It really would. But What would be really cool too, I'm not gonna lie, it would be fantastic, is if the other name that is kind of being whispered in rumors and stuff is Courtney Morgan, who is a just stud superstar GM for Alabama for the Crimson Tide. He's been with DeBoer at Washington and followed him to Alabama. He did do some stuff at Michigan back before, but had kind of a falling out with Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh's gone now. All of them are gone. So would he be willing to come back? He has family still here. There's a lot of rumors when they were talking about DeBoer coming here that he would come here. He was seen in town, but he does have family here, so and stuff. But he's a former Michigan player, loves the program. So if he came, that would be amazing. He's very good at what he does all around, at all sides of it, just like Blecken, but he has a even better track record, obviously, at bigger schools with the funds, with the resources, showing that he can get it done at that level. So he would be a slam dunk home run hire. And I still think Robert Blecken could be as well, but he would not be seen as that by the masses. I don't think it would be a bad hire at all. I think it would be fantastic, but it would take time. He'd have to prove it to people that it was a home run hire. Whereas if you get Courtney Morgan, people are like, holy Toledo, that's awesome. Now there is a third option, of course, and that is to be somebody that nobody is talking about, because there's already rumors that Robert Blecken is not going to be the GM. He could still be, because again, these are rumors. I would be shocked if he doesn't come and be some part of this organization, including maybe some of the other staff, front office, football staff that left with him from Utah, that they don't come and be a part of the room, a part of the program. But there's rumors that it's not going to be him, that he's coming, but he's not going to be GM. There's rumors that it's not going to be Courtney Morgan, that he's staying at Alabama, and that he's not interested in leaving. Nothing confirmed. He could be announced tomorrow, for all I know. But I'm just telling you what I've seen, what I've read. So that if that is true, and it's somebody else, if Michigan doesn't already have somebody lined up or somebody really closely in mind, it just makes you wonder if maybe some of the organizational stuff and mismanagement played a big role as well. And as soon as they got through signing day and all that, it was like, all right, we're looking forward. It's time to get some other people in here that we can trust and that we can work in lockstep with, and that are going to do things the way we want them to do them. Who knows? We'll see what comes out in the next few days and weeks as this process continues. So I don't know. Interesting. Now, the other thing that happened yesterday evening during the Michigan Purdue game, I'm trying to enjoy it, and I get the breaking news that 2027 QB recruit Peter Borque has decommitted from Michigan, and I thought, what in the world? I've talked about him in former videos. When interviewed, he had said that he felt good about Michigan. He was all in. He was looking forward to visiting in the spring and talking with Whittingham and Beck and to see what they thought for the offense, and he was all in. Apparently not. But, I'm sure he got a lot of offers behind the scenes from other schools, a lot of interest. I mean, he's far away from being here. We've got Bryce Underwood right now. We've got Colin Hurley, who's got 4 years of eligibility right now. We've got 2 stud freshmen coming in next year who, if you watch my recruiting video, are really good. First, we've got Tommy Carr, who's incredible, great athletic quarterback, that was so good he went from a 3-star to a 4-star. He's coming in, and so is Brady Schmiegel, who his numbers are insane, Madden rookie level insane. He's had a couple injuries that have kept him at a 3-star, but he's very good if he's healthy down the road. I mean, we got some studs coming in, and I trust that Kyle Whittingham is going to get some more. He's going to get some more quarterbacks. There's some more awesome quarterbacks they're already looking at. Of course, for 2028, Tabron from Detroit Cass Tech. I talked about him. He's fantastic. I would love if they get him for 2027. Now, if you don't have Borque, they're looking at a couple of other really good prospects. So if you're freaking out about Borque, I get it. He's a great quarterback, a great prospect. But remember, he's still a couple years away. Michigan is looking at some other guys that I think are going to be really good. Let me tell you about them. I got 3 that I want to talk to you about. And one is very interesting because they're new. And who knows, maybe it had something to do with Borque leaving. But First, let me talk about ones that we've already heard about. You already know, probably the top two that people talk about, and that is one, Camden Lapati from Illinois. Utah had already offered him. He's a dual threat quarterback. He looks like a lot of fun. I really like him a lot. He is number 115 out of the Rivals 300, number 9 quarterback in the class. Utah had been in the mix for him. He really likes Kyle Whittingham, so he expressed interest in Michigan once he saw that Kyle Whittingham was going there. His meeting with Beck and Detmer went great, so he's got some interest. Michigan's got interest in him. He's a big one that they're keeping an eye on. The other one is a little more outside the box, but it's a quarterback that signed with BYU, Ryder Lyons. He's going on a 1-year mission trip, and he has a lot of connections with Michigan staff. So he's one to keep an eye on that they're still talking to. But the one that I wanted to say is interesting is that Tuesday night, last night, the same night that Borque decommits, Michigan offered 2027 quarterback Dane Weber, another quarterback that had been offered by Utah in the past. He's the number 18 quarterback overall. And in high school, he completed 70% of his passes as a junior for 3,645 yards and 41 touchdowns, school records at his high school. He also ran for 688 yards and 14 scores, so he's athletic, dual threat, and he's rising nationally. People are getting more interested in him, so he's one to keep an eye on. So Dane Weber, Lapati, and Lyons, 3 really solid quarterbacks Michigan's looking at in the 2027 class, with the other 2 gaining interest and talking about maybe wanting to go to Michigan, and then all of a sudden they offer Weber. Maybe that had something to do with Borque wanting to leave as well, but regardless, whether it did or not, like I said, I can respect that he didn't want to be committed to Michigan looking elsewhere, so kudos to him, I guess, in that way. And as I always feel, if a recruit doesn't want to be at Michigan, there's the door, my friend. Good luck to you. It is okay. We want people that are pumped to be here and are trying to get in, not like and trying to go somewhere else. So I really like Lapati and Lyons, and looking into Weber, I have to see if it's Weber or Weber, because Weber State, it's spelled Webr, so maybe it's Weber. But I got to look into it more. I'm going to do some QB recruiting breakdown stuff coming up soon, because I'm getting excited about looking into this more now that Borque is leaving. I was kind of like, we got Borque. I'll mention these as time goes on, but now I want to dive into them more and see more. But I really like Lapati. I knew about him already. And Lyons kind of seems more out of the box, maybe a long shot, but we'll see. But I really like the sounds of this Weber. So they're looking into a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of good ones. They're all top 20 QBs in the class as of right now. So it's not like is Borque or we're screwed. And we've also got great ones on staff or on the roster already that I talked about. So bummer, but not the end of the world. Moving on. Whoo! Now let's talk about something super positive, and that is Michigan basketball. The number 1 team in the country took on Purdue, the number 7 team in the country, at their place, at the Mackey, at Purdue, and Michigan came out victorious. The Mackey was rocking. That place was loud. The fans were into it. And early on, it was a slugfest. It took a couple minutes before anyone scored. It was tight, close, back and forth. And then Michigan just took off. Their shots started falling. They had Roddy Gale Jr. came in off the bench with all this energy and kind of gave them a spark, and then they never looked back. They played fantastic. The ball spread out again. The leading scorer was Elliot Cadeau with 17. Yaxel had 13. And nobody else really went off and went crazy. They just all played really good team basketball. They shared the ball. They played a fantastic elite defense as always. So many blocks and rotating well, making every shot tough for Purdue. And Purdue struggled. Their leading scorer was a guy that I didn't even think was going to be an issue. He had 27 points. Their other big man, Kaufman Wren, who I didn't even know that much about from looking into Purdue, he went off and had 27 points. Oscar Clough, their well-known big man, struggled. He didn't do much. He had 4 points. And their guards, Lawyer started off hot, but then he didn't do much the rest of the game. And Braden Smith shot terrible from the floor and got 13 points, but he didn't shoot very well at all. So Michigan's defense made it very hard on them. They led by double digits pretty much the whole game, and they ended up winning in the end by 11. They led by as many as 20, and it was just a fantastic game. What a team. They played high energy from start to finish, were focused, and every time that Purdue made a little run, and it got under 10 to like 8 or so, somebody from Michigan would step up and get a basket and just get the momentum back, or get a block, or get a steal, or get a defensive stop. And they were just fired up. They love playing with each other. You can tell, and they love their coach. And this team is just a joy to watch. Next up, of course, Saturday evening, they play Duke, and I cannot wait. It is me and my wife's anniversary, so I will be whining and dining her and doing some fun things. So I'm going to have to either record it and watch it late, or I'll be looking at my phone while we're at a play and things like that. I will do a live post-game chat live, but it might not be right after the game. It'll be a little later. So keep an eye on the channel so that you know when that is, so we can hopefully celebrate a huge win over Duke. And I cannot wait. Look on the channel too as we get closer. I'll do some keys to victory, breaking down Duke and what Michigan needs to do to win that one. And if you haven't checked out the live post-game chat from tonight, or from last night after the Purdue game, go check it out. I have some awesome Michigan fans in there. We had a great time talking about Michigan basketball. So Michigan again wins 91-80. They're 25-1, 15-1 in the Big Ten. They've won 11 in a row, and they are just insanely good and fun to watch. And I love this team. Love Dusty May. Cannot wait for that Duke game. I can't wait to see what this team does down the stretch. Now it's time to reveal the results to yesterday's question of the day, in which I asked, with this big week for Michigan basketball, what was going to happen when they play Purdue and Duke? Were they going to win both games? Were they going to split them and go 1-1? Or were they going to have two tough losses and go 0-2? Or you could have picked basketball questions, football questions only in the question of the day. Please, sir. Results are in, and here they are. Boom! As you can see here, the winner by a long shot was win both, and that's what I love to see. They're off to a good start. Won the first one. We had 16% picked they'd get a split, and 2% said both would lose both. That's got to be a Michigan State or Ohio State fan. Welcome to the Maze of Bluebeard podcast. And then we had 4% say football questions only, and it'll be mostly football questions. Don't you worry. I ask a question of the day every day, so if you haven't voted on today's, which is a football question, head on over to the community tab. Head on over to the community tab and do so right now. But for this, again, I agree. I think Michigan's going to win both. They played so good tonight. They're going to be rip-roaring and ready to go against Duke. And Purdue has a lot more weapons and a more complete, deeper team, and they were able to stall them out. I think Michigan will be able to stop Duke's star power, and then it'll be up to the rest of the team to see if they can step up. But if Michigan plays like they did tonight, it's going to be a great win for Michigan, so we shall see. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Maze and Bluebeard podcast. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Appreciate you all very much. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next video, and until I do, as always, go blue.